Hello, everyone. How are you? I hope you are fine starting this very special year. We are at a time of the year where we all have many expectations, dreams, goals, and eager to start new things. However, change is a complex, and facing new situation can be very challenging. So this is why by now there are many people, and I know many people who are giving up because of the situation, struggling in the economy and the COVID. But today we're going to help you to fill you with courage and motivation and to overcome these challenges. So for that, we have a very special guest today. Is Oksana Esberard, a friend I met a couple of years ago when she was living in Miami. Now I'm living here in Miami and she's living abroad. So I never met in person Oksana, but someday. Today she's a very well-being strategy consultant, meditation master, mindfulness speaker, and also she is an author of a very nice and interesting book. Hello, Oksana, how are you?
Hi, Hernán. Doing wonderful.
Yeah, nice to have you here. And I would like to invite you to introduce yourself and give us an overview about your childhood, your youth, and how did you get to found the Satma Me, and what does that institution do? Okay, so
Sure. It's an interesting question, even for myself, to track back every time when I think about how did I find myself being a well-being strategist when it's neither my education nor something that I planned to do or dreamt of, right? So originally I'm from the far east of Russia. You might hear some accent from time to time. And I was born and raised in USSR. At the time, when I was about 6 to 8 years old, that was the fall of the Soviet Union. And you can imagine the change and the transition that it put on my family. And as a result of my development, that was the first massive change that those of us who live in the regimes of certain sorts and experienced it, it's quite large. Then at the age of 16, I was able to come to the US solo. At the age of 21, I immigrated to the US to study it first and then to establish my life. And after a massive burnout of achieving American dream, working in hospitality career, studying at the same time, I decided to quit everything and I flee to Hong Kong. And I was thinking that, okay, I'm going to be out of the United States and happy. And that did not happen. Another massive change, another transformation, and another massive burnout after my dad unexpectedly passed from an accident when I was there. And as a result, it led me and pushed me to rethink many things. And what am I running from? How to approach change? What is well-being? What should be the goals and aspirations that truly makes you fulfilled and happy? And on that journey, I found some answers in Indian Himalayas. I started to study mindfulness and meditation there in depth. And as continuation of that journey, I started to study Western psychology and other modalities like mindfulness to help, first of all, myself to climb out of the hole that I dug myself into. And as a result, then the tools were so transformational, and I describe it in detail in my book, Next Level You, that I just thought that there is no way other people would not benefit from it. And I started to work with business professionals, teaching them tools of mindfulness, meditation, relaxation, awareness, to do personal growth and transformation and overcoming challenges through building that resilience and having more awareness. And that's what Sattva Me is. It's an organization that solely focuses on businesses, professionals, and executives to help them to unlock that human potential by creating more awareness and transformation and well-being in life, and using all the tools and journeys that I've learned. And as you've mentioned, yes, just a month ago, in December of last year, 2021, I moved to Portugal. So that's another transition.
I anticipate that in the end of this video, we are going to practice breathing exercise together in a different way, you probably know. So stay here and enjoy this wellness moment to the end. And Oksana, we have many similarities, I think. We immigrate to the US, the Himalayas is inside the mindfulness. And before that, we were in businesses, traditional businesses. So I would like to ask you about, because most of the people want changes, want achieve dreams, big goals, but most of them are afraid of changes. Why? And why people get scared about changes, and why they are not motivated to move on, new changes, new things. Why? And tell us about your experience.
Sure, and that's kind of the question that I kept asking myself, and the answer still lies the same, which also confirms by studies and psychology. We as people, as human race, we have the wiring towards growth. We find tremendous fulfillment to grow, evolve, and solve challenges. You could resolve it yourself, right? Do you agree with that? It's just so fulfilling, so satisfying. In fact, when they study employees and they ask them what makes them to stay on the job, what makes their job to feel happy and fulfilled, it's personal development. People want to grow. People want to evolve. Now, for me, that's a twofold process, because one, we have this wiring for growth. We want more. We want to develop and achieve things. And a lot of people, and on the other side, our brains are fighting the change, because anything new requires more energy than anything that is habitual. When we get into the habit, it's like an energy saving mode. So once we start implementing the changes, it requires, first of all, more energy, which the majority of people don't have, because our schedules are so full. Our families are so demanding. Even now, the health capacity is limited, right? And therefore, the demands of that energy grows exponentially as you start to learn anything new. And any of you could verify it with your own experience. If you learn a new language, if you moved anywhere, if you've started a new career, first is just a lot of energy intake. You're more tired. And a lot of people don't have that energy resource, number one. And then the second component to it is the support system, the resources. You cannot do anything alone, pretty much. So, right, what resources companies provide, or what resources do you have? And a lot of times we try to do too many changes too fast, too at once. And these things collide. And as the resistance grows, we don't have the staying power, literally, to persevere and to grind. We don't have enough resources, energetic, material, infrastructure, and the motivation just starts to quickly decline. And then it's just so much easier and nicer to slip into that comfort zone, back into how it was and what we used to be like. So I think these are the primary things. What do you think? Is that what you've experienced in your life?
Yes, absolutely. And you just told me that you moved recently to Europe, to Portugal, and I moved also recently last year to Miami. Both things for most of the people, sound like a dream. Imagine moving to Europe, to Miami. That sounds like, wow, these guys are, superstars. But it's not like that, because moving to another place, even if that place is a dream, like Europe or Miami, you face many problems like loneliness, sadness, languages, practical things like food, new friends, new environment, wherever, many things. The beginning of a good thing like moving to a very nice place confront us with difficult situations. Why? Why we feel struggling sometimes when we are in a very nice, because I tell you the truth, I am in Miami, in a very nice place in North Miami, but sometimes I'm feeling very lonely. I'm feeling about my country, my friends, my family, but I decide to come here and start again. So why do we feel that like that? And if you feel like that also.
The familiar is something that our brain really likes. The brain is constantly searching for what we recognize. It looks for pattern. Our intellect is looking for pattern. And when you are in a new environment, there are no familiar patterns. And it's okay for a day, like vacation. It's great for a week. But once you're staying longer, the brain starts to panic. It starts to be like, okay, I'm not recognizing, here's an emergency button, and that raises anxiety, that raises loneliness, sadness, grief, missing things. And we start to focus more on what's not going right than what is actually eventually attracted us there, right? We both share beautiful weather, even in the winter time right now. My motivation, and it's really been a dream to live in Europe for a long time. And yes, one of my motivations was to learn another language, to be fluent in another language. But now I'm like, I need to learn it actually and sign up for classes. And I'm like, And I don't understand things in the bank. Today I spent 2.5 hours in the bank just to open a simple checking account, which will take me 10 minutes in the US. All the documents are in Portuguese. They communicate, but the paperwork is not, and it's just, it's on and on and on and on. And by the time I came back home, which I thought was going to take me 30 minutes, I was exhausted, right? So then in those exhaustion, I want comfort. And familiar is comfort. And that's when this biggest danger zone comes, when I start to think, well, but in the US, it was so fast and so smooth and so easy. And that's a trap. That type of thinking leads us to make it more difficult than it is, right? So that's where mindfulness is really, really helpful, when you start taking things as they are versus wishing there was something else. Right. Instead of me wishing I was in the US opening a bank account, I'm just saying, okay, this is the system here. Let's work with it. What's needed.
And how can we do so that we can face these changes and not slow down or quit in our goals and our dreams? What are your suggestions to practice? Yeah, to give some advices to the people who are watching us.
Well, first of all, the nature of your question is what not to slow us down and not lose the edge, not lose that advantage. And that's unrealistic. I have not made a single move or transition in my life that didn't set me back in comparison, as I would stay in the same place, work consistently, and let's say build up my wealth or build up the base knowledge or expand the community. Any transition, any change in the beginning as a collateral is a step back before it will magnify and multiply, right? So the question here, are you ready to go through the collateral of this, what's called regression and slowing down and not being as efficient or not being as fast to do certain things and understand, But once you make the switch, there's just this curve of decline. Then the growth is exponential. And a lot of people are not willing to pay that collateral, or not willing to pay it as long as it takes. Because sometimes learning a language, how long does it take? Some people can take 6 months. Some people can take 10 years and still not learn it correctly, right? So how long that transition period for everyone is unknown. It's really up to humans' effort, right? So it is, I feel, a big misconception that change is just this beautiful, wonderful thing and all positive. First of all, it's not. And we need to be ready to pay the price. But also keeping the bigger picture of why we're doing it, and the payback is going to be bigger there.
Yes, I agree totally with you. The dreams, big goals means not only the nice part of it, but also the cost, the price, and the timing could be long. I used to climb big mountains, and most of the people they ask me, how do you feel about when you are on the top of the mountain, when you are on the summit? Okay, that's nice. You are 30 minutes, 1 hour on the top at most, but you spend a month or 45 days on the mountain, climbing in a difficult place, in a very dangerous place, with cold, without nice food, sleeping bad, no shower, no toilet. Can you imagine paying that price for 30 minutes? So that is the dream. It means paying prices, and for a long time. So that's excellent, your answer. And I agree totally with you. And because one of the things that I used to do, especially I started in mountaineering, is meditation. Because I tell you the truth, I've been like half of my life, the last 10 years, on the mountain, climbing, spending time on the mountain. And you have a lot of time without doing nothing, because you have to rest, and rest doing nothing. Why? Because when you are very high on altitude, the lack of oxygen requires you to rest, to be prepared for the next step. So I started meditating. So and practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness, because you have to be very aware of the place where you are, and meditation because you need to keep your mind calm. So why do you feel that meditation, mindfulness are such a powerful element? Because I know myself, but I would like to know about you, because you're writing about that.
So it's an excellent question on the subject of mindfulness and meditation. The way I look at it is like a training, is a preparation. You sit in a quiet space where your mind, your nervous system, your whole body wants to be somewhere else, do something else, think about different things, type, contact people, be active. And you are there sitting. And that's what my teacher in Indian Himalayas called the staying power. You are literally developing, you're training the capacity not to quit before that ring starts. So if you set it, let's say 20 minutes, which if anybody meditated and started with like 3-4 minutes, 20 minutes feels like surreal. It feels like there's no way I can sit still and not move for 20 minutes and be in that space. And so it's a training for the mind to stay at where you want it to be. So then you have the staying power to stay in the bank. You have the staying power to learn the language. You have the staying power to stay on the mountain and don't run for that shower, which I would totally. I was like 45 days without a shower, no way. So yes, meditation is that for me and for people that we work with. And mindfulness, just like you said, it's awareness to our state, to the environment, and to other people. We think we're more aware than we really are. And again, it's proven by studies. It's not, it can be verified with your own experience, but a lot of people think that they're aware of way more things than they really are. And study after study after study of various degrees show that that's not the truth. That's not the statistics. Sadly, I wish I was more aware by default. And so these two tools and techniques combined help to become more resilient, have more grit, more creative decision making, because if you're aware of more things, you have more choices. The biggest investment is the time to do it, the time to find that consistent practice. And when we talk about the time, it's not like I'll load myself for a week of meditation and then for a year I'm free. Doesn't work like that, sadly. It's daily. You can miss a day or two here and there, don't beat yourself up, but it has to have the consistency. Yes. So that's what it gives me.
Yeah, that's true. And at the beginning is, as everything, in my opinion, everything is difficult until it's easy.
I would say at first it's exciting. And you're motivated, you're like, yeah, let's do it. And then it's difficult. And then it depends where you go. You either persevere or you quit.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. At the beginning, exactly. For me, it was, as I told you, on the mountain, I needed. So it was like a request for myself because I wanted. And then when I returned to the reality, to my place, to my normal place, not the mountain, it was more difficult to practice. But then I started enjoying doing. So now it's like eating. I need to practice meditation. I need to practice breathing, and it's very interesting because nowadays, like, okay, I sleep, I eat, I work, and I meditate. It's like part of my life. But it wasn't easy from the beginning. It wasn't easy. And it wasn't fun also, the beginning. Now it's part of my life. And I'm practicing from a very, just a month ago or 2 months ago, I started practicing very aware mindfulness. So now to finish and close this wonderful video, and share us and tell us about the practice, the practice of active breathing exercise, and what is the effect on our body and in our mind. So now it's your turn and teach us.
I think a lot of people associate mindfulness and meditation only with calming down the nervous system and just being, and mindfulness and meditation are the majority of it. However, there are practices that are stimulating the awareness in a very active way. And breathing is one of the most accessible way. And I like this particular breath because you can do it either when you are active, like let's say you're going on a brisk walk or you're walking to your car or anything that you are doing, or you can do it sitting at your chair, eyes closed or open. So it's very versatile. And the idea here is to exactly build up the energy, not to pacify yourself when you're super quiet and calm, but to energize yourself. So for example, if you are already highly anxious, then it's better to do it slower pace. However, right now we will do it faster pace to build up that energy. And you will notice that your heart rate and your heartbeat will go up. So that's what we want. Yeah. So the technique itself, again, you can do it with eyes open or closed, does not matter. I always like to set my eyes in one point so I can really feel what's going on inside of me. And the technique is 4 in through the nose, And then 4 times out through the mouth. 4 in through the nose. 4 out through the mouth. We're creating stability and equilibrium and balance because the inhalation and exhalation should be equal, 4 and 4, about the same length. And what will make a big difference is the rhythm. So we will set the pace about 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you do it slower, the impact is going to be more calming. If you do it faster, you will get yourself even dizzy with this breathing. So kind of be careful of what you wish for, right?
Wow.
So let's just practice for a few minutes and see like what is that impact noticing, shall we?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, so begin by fully exhale and start inhaling through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out through the mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue at this pace. See if you can close your eyes and there's no pause between inhalation and exhalation, and you are filling up your lungs completely in 4 breaths. You're emptying your lungs completely out in 4 breaths. So it's very full. Let's do it a few more minutes. Now a little slower. Last time. Now inhale in 4 through the nose and hold your breath. Just hold your breath in that fullness. Feel how the new fresh oxygen expands through the body. Feel it in the brain, feel it in the lungs, feel it perhaps even in the tips of the fingers, spreading and tingling through the entire body. Be in your body, that's the mindfulness piece. And whenever you need to, feel free to exhale softly. Stay a few moments taking normal breath through the nose, stabilizing before you move on into the activity, especially if you're doing it seated. And if you had your eyes closed or gaze low, you can open them and you should feel pretty awake in your brain and have that reset. How does it feel for you?
Yeah, awake. Yeah, like, wow. It's more aware, awareness.
It's a good shot of oxygen and awareness, clarity, for sure.
That's very nice. Very nice. Yeah, it's very different what I practice. I practice also, and I would like to ask you if mentally I need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is necessary to do it mentally, loudly? What do you suggest?
For people that are not used to practices of mindfulness and meditation, it is recommended to count because it keeps the mind focused on the practice versus like we just did it for 1, maybe 2 minutes max. Usually you can do these practices, I'm saying, like you're going for a walk, you can do it for the 15 minutes. And eventually, once you get used to it, your brain starts to you're doing the breathing, but you're planning your calendar, you're thinking what you're going to have for dinner, which meeting you're going to have next. So if you keep counting, that is arriving either later or it's harder to think about something else. So it could be that practice, if you keep counting, it becomes a real mindfulness practice to stay present to the technique and the activity itself. So yes, for you who's already been practicing for some time, if you can manage to stay with the technique and awareness of your body and how that energy dances within the body, then you might choose after some time not to do the counting.
Wow, thank you very much. I enjoy a lot.
Very
Okay,
well.
Oksana, thanks a lot to join us. I'm very grateful for your time, for your advices, and I would like to end. Before we end, I would like to ask you about your book. Tell us just a little about your book, what it's about, where we can find it, and yes, your time.
Thank you so much, Hernán. Well, first of all, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the time of anybody who listened to this conversation. And if you guys have any feedback and want to ask additional questions, feel free to reach out on whatever medium you found this talk. As for the book, the name is Next Level You, Oksana Esberard, and you can simply put it in Amazon and it will pop up. So Amazon is where you can find it on Kindle or order it as a printed copy and be able to learn not only in depth the stories that I went through, which we try to make it fun and entertaining, as well as research behind some of the things that we've shared today, more tools on well-being, and a little more techniques and practices that you can also start with, as whether you're a beginner to this or whether you've been practicing for a while. There are different modalities and techniques that I also share throughout the book as practical implications. So hope you enjoy it. Find it on Amazon, and I would always welcome the reviews as what we could do better and how we can grow. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time, your advices, and have a wonderful 2022. Despite all the problems, we had to dream big and go for it. So thank you very much, and see you. Hope to see you soon. Okay?
Yes, we'll make it happen. Thank you so much, Hernán, and we'll talk more. And again, thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.